standing and your true sovereign as you work and present yourself out there. When you're signing documents, it's important that you understand where and how to sign these. When you are presenting yourself in a court, it's important to know where you're standing. We do not argue in courts. This is never about argument. This is about standing as sovereign. It's not about constitutional rights. It's about sovereign standing and being a divine being. As we progress forward and move through the processes as we go along in our webinars down the road, because tonight we're just going to get to feather touch on a bunch of things we need to discuss, you'll understand why it's more important. When you're done with the processes and when we are able to come and bring together everything that we think you will need to do this, you will then become basically a Pope King. You will be the head of your church and the head of your own nation. So it is very important that you do understand what the true word of sovereignty means in standing out there as your own nation or your own family clan. And family clans can be a sovereign nation also. And we will work with that as we go along and go over that. So redemption in theology is an element of salvation, to express deliverance from sin. It is absolution. It is working where it used to be punishment for sin. Then we have the reclamation. What does reclamation mean? It is a process of reclaiming something from loss or a less useful condition. Marine salvage. The process of rescuing a ship, its cargo, sometimes crew, from peril. Placing a vessel back into its slip at a harbor port. So consequently, it is very, very important that we go through all of this, because you're going to see down the road here as we go through these explanations what they have done to us. Resurrection. It is a religious concept of reuniting a deceased person's spirit with their body, i.e. raising them from the dead. The rite of baptism out of the waters of the soul at sea to be rebirthed, put back in their slip. So here we're talking about salvaging, and we're talking about reclaiming our rights to sovereignty, and we're talking about being reborn out of the waters. There is a point that they have done all of this to us. I know it sounds a little wild, but old Dr. T here is not stepping off the edge, but you'll see as we go along what they truly have done to us. So as we continue to unveil these things, we're going to list them in workbooks. We're going to be producing. It is very difficult to produce systems and processes for you to use and a workbook to explain it to you at the same time. Our redemption manual, the 4.5, is over 600 pages. We are trying to update that and break it down in smaller packages. We will see how we go as we move along. We're also developing a lot of other packages, such as bills of exchange and other workbook areas, just short things that will hopefully start to assist you. So we're going to end up using a combination of philosophies here. We're going to combine agreements, forms, treaties, acts, procedures, practices, processes, laws, rules, regulations, IRS tax structure, securities, religion, and many other rights used in the world today to our rights and indeed our benefit. We can never be absolutely accurate. We are not practicing law. Do your own homework. Don't base your words on what I say. These are my opinions. These are our understandings. They are not in concrete. Some people are going to have more information on this, many of these subjects that are presented here that I'm not going to go over. I'm well aware of that. And we're always excited to have people submit their information, what they want to. Support us in anything to pass it on. We always look at everyone's stuff. As I said, everyone's right, but putting it all together and powering it into a format that you can use without having to go through all that research is always a challenge. So these come from Roman concepts, canon law, international merchant systems, and many more. They have been achieved through performing various rites, and that's rights as RIGHTS, and that's rights of manipulation, legal statusing. Invested with religious power and mysticism. Standing in competency, no knowledge of. To have created a merchant-driven, the lobbyist, commercial, monetary, conundrum. All of that, and then to refined and predicated it over hundreds and, well, thousands of years. It really is incomprehensible and unconscionable what they have done. And they have had well over 1,000 years to perfect the standing of what they've done to us and make it so that all the loopholes are closed. We all have only been aware of this. Well, I think that others in our societies, perhaps Martin Luther, with the Lutheran movement, probably goes back to even Thomas Jefferson, who and Ben Franklin, and way before then, it goes back to even people like Galileo and others knew the power of the church and saw what was happening in the world and how it was being used and set up against us. So, I mean, we've had a lot of people in our history who have tried to understand and warn us and prepare us for what's happening. But I don't know that the full magnitude of what they've done is even comprehensible. The more we uncover, the more we wonder why they're so set on this path of annihilation and control and doing their own monetary and commercial aspects. It has to be more than just money and power. There has to be some kind of tricky plan, whether it's Masonic or temporal or the Malta Brotherhood that's out of Italy. Who knows? Who knows what their purpose is? Where the Bohemian group is doing their thing in Northern Cal and the world leaders and, you know, Bilderberger and on and on and on it goes. You know, what I find interesting is that 99.9% of all these groups tend to be predominantly male. It is my personal philosophy that women will not send their own children to war. They've spent too much time birthing them and raising them. So, I find it interesting that the mothers of the world are not having a say in the future of our planet. We can change that. That is one of the things that we can do. And this is why we here at Arbitro get up and go to work every day. And ARBTO does mean Amun-Ra Business Trust Organization. And it goes all the way back into Egypt. And we are really here to support and develop and work with our students to the best of our capabilities. So let's continue on here as I wander around, trying to get everybody a little background so I'm not always moving. As we move through, you're going to see that there's always going to be the process of moving from the